Perfect. Welcome back to another edition of Boundaries of Brotherhood with your host, Gordon Watts. We're going to be going over a topic that is close to us because it's going to be about how iron sharpens iron and the power of mutual mentorship in male friendships. Because there's a full on need, the modern man community who can serve as mentors or accountability partners. You'll also learn to give and receive constructive criticism from your friends, because if you're a true friend, you're going to tell your friend the truth, hands down. Like,
All right. So, greetings, everybody. Dr. Keith Fairclough here for Boundaries and Brotherhood. So, guys, today we're going to be talking about the need for iron to sharpen iron. Why we as men, it is critical for us to be in communities where we are pushed, where we are challenged, where we are taken out of our comfort zones. Because for far too long, I always say this, I don't want to come off as like, oh, kumbaya, hold hands and share emotions and things like that. Yes, there's a place for emotional vulnerability and things like that. But we as men still got to be men, right? We still got to be rough. Still got to be able to get out the mud. We still got to be able to do what we need to do, right? The total man, the full man. So today we're going to be talking about that aspect of it, of having that community and being in that healthy community that's going to push you and drive you forward, where you can be challenged, but you could also challenge other men as well to be the best version of themselves.
beautiful, beautiful. Sometimes, guys, in today's society, there's so many going on, right? You don't know who to turn to, what to do. In fact, I just got off a phone call with a guy that I did 24 years, and he was looking for me all over the place, but he don't want to touch social media. He had the keys for the yard at one point, but we was just catching up before here. And the beauty of it, our brotherhood, our camaraderie from prison, it was like we just never left. We just picked up just like it was like yesterday. This is what we want to give you guys, some tools and some. You haven't seen somebody in 12 years. Some of the best people I meet in prison, because we know we've been through it and we came out. A lot of the times you see people that complain about the most mundane things because they haven't lost it all and figured out the consequences of 20, 25 years, and you come out with a new appreciation for a lot of different things. And that bond, that iron sharpens iron in a way that most men need but don't know. And this is where Doc comes in, right? Doc comes in from counseling services because that's what he does as a full-time career. And he's been in the spots. Doc, what are some of the things we're going to be going over today?
Really going to be more of a conversation, guys.
Oh, nice.
We're going to be talking about the different aspects, the different groups that we see out there, what you should be looking for in a group that's going to challenge you, what to avoid, how it can help you grow. Because ultimately, that's the goal, right? The goal is not just to, stay the same. The goal is to grow. But in order to grow, you got to get uncomfortable. I don't know any growth situation that comfortable, all right? So we use the adage from the Bible, iron sharpens iron, right? But that's not a comfortable process. If you've ever worked with metal before, it's a very rough process. It's not smooth. The grinding, the chips, the sparks. Any guys that work in welding or metal work or anything along those lines know what I'm talking about. In order to become something greater, it has to go through a painful process. It has to go through heat. It has to go through grinding. It has to go through all these things. But that's how it becomes better. That's how the surgical scalpel gets like that. You can find groups in order to get that same growth out of it, right? So that's what
No, I mean, I mean, everything that you just said. If you look at your life as a man, and you look at if you're a piece of steel that's just coming out of the ground, or that needs to be forged somewhere, male friends just for good times. Your real friends are there to forge personal and relationships for growth, not just for you, but for both of you. Like me and Doc, a perfect example. I get so much from Doc in my relations that I can apply using all this that we have to become a better person. And that's the camaraderie I'm looking for. It's not having to be, I'm going to go in a bar fight, put my shoulder back to you and go fight these 200 guys. It's all about, I can come to Doc for real feedback, real personal things, and learn how to accelerate or propel your journey as a man instead of all this movement. You've seen us talk about so many different topics because there's so many different topics can be talked about. But when you look at things that men want, the camaraderie they're looking for, the friendship they're looking for, it's not like Doc said, the kumbaya. It's not where you want to be able to I want to be soft and I want to be I want you to listen to me and tell me what I want to hear. No, guys, camaraderies, they're going to push you to a limit where I know Doc want to talk about this gym, which I love it because when I used to work out with my guys, I used to be like that, right? You mean when I at my prime inside, man, I'm squatting 500, my max bench was 465, right? And it's when you see guys on the yard that's been doing time for so long, you get that kind of respect in a different way because there's no place for the weak. So let me ask you this: what is the man up mentality costing us, the new generation of men right now, and how do we apply?
You talking about the whole idea of like what men trying to do everything by themselves or be alone?
Yes, the man up. When we talked about the Watsons, the this. You mean that alpha mentality with no friends in isolation ain't going to get you nowhere because you all crave one thing: to be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah,
right.
that's true. That's true. I think that's across the board for everybody, right?
Yeah.
The idea of real purpose, a real purpose is something that's bigger than you and lives on outside beyond you, right? If it's just something that just benefits you, then that's just for you. But as far as like the cost, the whole isolationist, right? Where it's like I gotta go it alone and do it alone. And I mean, you men, ask yourself, what is that costing you? What kind of opportunity is that costing you? What kind of growth is that costing you? What kind of knowledge are you not getting? What kind of perspectives are you missing out on? What kind of struggles are you trying to fight you're by yourself that someone else has the answer for? So, I don't think it's really a question for me to answer. I think, men themselves need to sit down and ask themselves that question. Is this really working for me being by myself? I've been doing this thing my whole life by myself, and I'm struggling by myself, and I'm suffering by myself.
Nice.
And it's hard for me to grow by myself. So how long do I want to keep doing the same thing and getting the same result by myself? And for anyone who says, oh, well, I'm a self-made man and, I just had to do it alone and all those things like that, I would question that, right? I would question whether or not, I would question whether or not you really did it by yourself. You probably didn't. You probably had a mentor. You probably had someone that you were following. You probably went to a seminar. You probably followed someone else's advice. There was something you did from somebody else. It wasn't just you by yourself, isolated from all information everywhere in the world, where you just came up with the idea yourself, the system yourself. And that's just not how it works, right? So I think it's important, to really ask yourself that question, like, what is it costing me?
Uh-oh. Doc, I think so you're frozen on one end. Uh-oh, what happened here? Uh-oh, something's happening over here. Doc, where'd you go? Doc, did you get cut off? Doc, you got cut off over here on the other side. I think so something happened on your stream, but because I can't hear you on TikTok because I got the speaker going on. But guys, I just wanted to let you guys know. Let me refresh this. We got a little bit technical difficulty. You're gonna have to click that link and maybe you're gonna come back in because you froze on the other end completely. Why are so many men? Let me jump to myself over here. Why are so many men friendless at this point in the game, right? Because there's a staggering of 15% of men have reported no close friends. And that number has quadrupled since 1990, right? And that's why me and Doc wanted to talk about this because, the nagging feeling that, something might be crucial or missing in your life. Maybe the quiet, the loneliness, and even your closest relationships don't even feel you. You know what I mean? And that's an epidemic, and it's not something that can be looked upon as something that is just not there. We have to be able to find out what's going on in your head, why you're not getting the support, why not you reaching out, because with the attention that you might be getting somewhere else, it's gonna be something so different that once you have a camaraderie of close friends and you'd heard the adage where you keep your circle small and everything else, because these are the ones that will pick up the phone at 2:00 in the morning. I used to have friends at one point in my life where it's like, we're going to go do this. You might not have to ask questions, and you're going to have friends that say, let's do it. That's in my younger days, right? Now I have so many things that can be the consequences, but you have friends like that and you have friends like that too on different levels, right? And then you also going to have friends that going to do dirt with you, right? In your days now that, but you need to find the camaraderie that's going to be there for you when you need it. You need somebody to tell you that, hey, you're basically fucking up, right? Especially in my ex line of work. Doc, you coming back on? You need to hit that stream again. Let me see. Okay. Oh crap! Now you just your whole TikTok just went off. Oh, there you go. Oh, here we go. We got to put Doc back on. That back on. He's back on.
Yeah,
There you go.
I don't know what the heck
No
happened. My
worries.
computer
It's
just
part of the show,
stopped.
brother.
Yeah, yeah, my computer just shut it all the way down.
But
Maybe I'll.
this way, what's cool is because right next to Doc's office is going to be the podcast studio that we're going to be using for what do you call that? It takes a village. So you're
Yeah,
going to see Doc doing another podcast here to helping the communities where we're going to have our own platform besides this. But Doc, you see, I did my ad lib
yes,
right there,
yeah.
and it was pretty good, if you do say so myself. But no, I'm not a stand up. I'm not a stand up a counselor. But Doc, go on with that thing. I'll still get chopped in.
Yeah. So long story short, you have to ask yourself the question: what is this isolation what is it costing you? What is being by yourself costing you?
Mm.
Because nothing can be done by ourselves. Like it just can't happen. There will come a time when you need someone. So my question is, why wait until the point where okay, I just can't do anything else by myself at all, right? Because usually by that time, you're worn out, you're tired, and you feel like, man, I don't want to feel like going on. But if you have a group, if you have the camaraderie, if you find a good group, then you have that support. You have that. Maybe your marriage would have survived if you had that level of support. Maybe your health would have gotten better. Maybe your business would have grew. Maybe you had had a better relationship with your children had you just sought out help and support earlier. So we have to move away from this whole idea that to be a man, you have to do everything by yourself. Like, it's just not true. It's just not. And for someone to, if you want to say, yeah, it is true, Keith, you want to argue me on the point, that's fine. Just show me somewhere where there's some objective truth, some objective law where it's like, yep, to be a man, you have to do all these things by yourself. I'm not saying not be self-sufficient, but that's just that as an adult, every adult should be self-sufficient. It has nothing to do with your gender. But we're talking about as a man, show me where it says to be a man, to actually have an XY chromosome, you must do things by yourself. You won't find it. That's please don't engage me in that conversation. You will lose. So, but so yeah, so I would say that, you really need to ask yourself the question, what am I losing out on? Because I'll be honest, I've been in that situation. All right. So I'm not speaking from just some ivory tower. I've been in a situation where I'm like, okay, I'm scared to reach out and ask for help because maybe I won't be a man, or, I'm scared because people are going to take advantage of me, or all these things like that.
Mm.
So I got to a point where it's like, you cannot do it by yourself. Sorry. You're just impossible. For you to do and grow and expand the way you want to grow and expand, that means you have to be a master in sales and marketing and business and therapy and trauma and relationships and men's health and women's health and you scaling it all. I have to be a master in every single area, in digital design and all. Who can do that? Who can literally master all those different areas? We're not designed to. Who has all the answers? Nobody. So why not get with a group of guys who will say, you know what, hey, you don't have to, because hey, I'm good at this and I'm good with that, or I can do this or I can do that, or hey, let's just encourage you and keep you going. Like, it's better to find it easier to find a group of guys that have these different traits and things of that nature, or just to be supportive, than it is to try to do it all by yourself. So
100%.
that's just a mindset you got to have moving forward. Like, trying to do it all by yourself, there's just no point in doing that. There's no
Well,
point
I
in
mean, it goes to show like the mentality of the alpha male is all collapsing on itself in YouTube right now with the fall of so many people going on because they found out everything is fake. I mean, it could have been purposeful in the beginning where, okay, you can change your life, you can do everything, but after a while, the ego gets inflated, and that's when you're supposed to have another male that you respect, or a friend, or camaraderie that goes, hey, doc, you kind of pushing it overboard. And it would be not a friend of, it wouldn't be, if I'm a good friend, it's like, I'm going to take that into consideration, because maybe there's some truth to it, because why would I be bringing it up? Right. Because a
Yeah.
lot of the times, you know, as guys, especially for somebody that's been into an all boys school, because I was messing up did I ever tell you about, because I went to an all boys school because I stabbed my teacher with a pencil because I had anger issues. So, so
Yep.
I stabbed up teacher with a pencil because I got mad, and that's why I started up going to private school, because they thought that could change my behaviors, because broken family and all that good stuff. But in high school, I went to an all boy high school because I'm used to just being around that. So when I went to prison, it was like a normal for me, which is ridiculous. But I do miss the camaraderie of the men talking about men, about shoulder to shoulder conversations, through experiences, to all this stuff. And then the friendships also get stronger when you have something in common and bond, and you have mutual respect. If
Yeah.
you don't have that mutual respect and it doesn't go back and forth, Doc, how do men get out of that isolation and find that mutual respect for themselves and for the group that they want to work with?
So, all right. So this one, it's first you have to identify what your values are. Right. Because
Big.
every group is not a good group.
Yep.
Identify what your values are. What are the things that are important to you? Is it marriage?
Mm.
Is it family? Is it relationships? Is it honor? Is it work? Like what matters to you? What is important to you? Because not every group is for everything, right?
Ooh,
So,
ooh.
for instance, there might be a group that they kill it in business, they push each other and whatnot. But let's just say most of them are single or divorced. You know,
Oh, yeah.
great for
Yeah.
business, but they're probably not good for relationships, right? When they have 2, 3 different women every night or something like that, probably not the best for your relationship, right? Not the people you want to take, advice from. So you have to first identify, okay, what do I need? What am I looking for? What are my values? And then what groups exist out there that have those values, right? Or,
Mm.
or create a group that is based on those values.
Yep.
Right. You need some guy to be like, but bro, you married her. That's part of you need someone that's gonna hold you accountable. All right, well, cool. Let's talk about that. And again, if you cannot find a group, then what you need to do is create a group. Inviting your coworkers, inviting your siblings, inviting your friends, inviting your neighbor, whoever might want to have that group. Because guess what? There are men that do want that camaraderie. I strongly recommend you go and look it up. I absolutely love what
I
they
love
do
them.
there. And the whole idea of it is to have people to push you when you feel like you can't go any further, when you
Yep.
feel like giving up, when you feel like it's too hard, you need someone to say, get back in there and keep fighting. But that's the thing, right? You ever wonder why all these people to this? It is literally pain. It hurts. You want to quit, and you still gotta go. All these people coming through, and everybody gets it. They go there because it's like we want to be part of a community where we're pushed. I mean, think of it like this. And maybe I'm just generalizing, but I would assume that 300 is a fan favorite of a lot of men, right?
Oh,
Watching a
absolutely.
group of jack guys run around, stabbing and killing and fighting impossible odds together, right? Why is that such a like, and then there's a period of time where there was this thing where there's like women would fantasize about passing away with all their loved ones around them, and then it would shift to a guy, and but a guy is like wants to go out like a blaze of glory in like this big battle, right? There's something about that, right? There's something about that, right? That we as men, we're looking for that iron that's going to sharpen us. We're looking for that place that's going to help us grow. That's going to help us get better. That's going to push us beyond our potential. That's going to push us beyond our weaknesses and our perceived limits. We're looking for someone to do that. And so that's why, like, again, the Diamond Gym, that's why it's so powerful. And there are probably other gyms out there like that, and other organizations out there like that will hold you accountable as a man to not just live up to your potential, but go beyond it. And we as men are searching for those organizations, those groups where we can be somewhere where we can actually be sharpened, right? So that's why this whole, podcast today, that's where it came from. I saw the video. I'm like, Gordon, we got to talk about it, man. We got to talk
Oh
about
no,
it.
I'm
You know,
100%.
and
I agree with that.
you know,
Because I'm gonna
it's
give you,
yeah,
I'll give you a perfect example, Doc. Right? I got my friend right here, and Michael Jaime Stories. I can call him right now, and like I said before, previous, because he's the director, creator, and founder of World Conscious Changes that does NLP stuff, and same thing that we do here. He does it on a certain type of level. I can call him right now, put him on here, and he'll give me feedback what I don't want to hear, maybe,
mhm,
but I'll respect his much because we've been through the thick and thin together, right?
yeah,
We have Dr. Desiree King right now inviting us. I can call her right now at her work, and she can give me the download because I want friendships that are truthful, honest, that can last me beyond 30 years because, life gets in the way. Marriage, kids, life, sports, this. But I still look for camaraderie because why? Camaraderie gives me purpose to be better than I was yesterday for you. I want to be better for Doc. Every day, every time we come on this way, whether it's going to be our course, whether it's a course, the podcast, the workshop, the webinar, everything, so I can be better for him because my camaraderie, my relationship with Doc is that important, right? It's not where I'm going to do it all myself using everything that I have, which I have a lot of knowledge. It's just a matter of because camaraderie means and friendship means important for you when you find the ones that have the right value at the right season of choice in your life. Because 20 years ago, Gordon wouldn't be around Doc. I would say, you crazy. But you look at what season of life you're in, but at the same time, the real ones, we're going to stick with you thick and thin and tell you what's wrong. Your zip's undone. Hey, this and that. You know what I mean? And when you find that type of friendship that lasts through decades, right? And you can pick up a phone and talk to them like it was like yesterday with the same result. That is something that has to be cherished. And that's what the young guys are missing right now. Because everything is this fast. IG, fake, Instagram, hypercars, all this stuff, alpha male, all this other crap. But what for? They can't even be happy with themselves and they undo themselves. For what? Right? Because they can't keep up with the ego. They can't keep up with the pressure and they can't keep up with what's going on in life because it happens too fast because they don't have a solid foundation of friends. Right? Now,
yeah.
Doc, what happens when people get disconnected but want to get a connection but don't know how to?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we can use the excuse of don't know how to anymore. I'll be
Okay.
honest. I mean, we live in the information age. There is no excuse anymore.
It's the
You can,
want.
everybody has a phone. You
Right.
literally you can speak into it and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. I need X. Where can I go?" And it will literally direct you to where to go. It will
Mm-hmm.
literally give you, "Hey, you should check out these things. Hey, maybe you should check out Psychology Today, or maybe you should check out this website or that website." Like, so it's not a matter of, they don't know how to. So we can't use that excuse anymore,
Okay.
right? Can't use
The
that
want.
excuse. There has to be a desire to do it and a desire to do it in the right way. And yeah, I'm gonna speak on this real quick. Me and my wife were talking earlier this week, and we were talking about people that are that they don't really want to change, and
Okay.
or what they want to do is they want to stay the same, but get the benefit of change. And
The
so,
entitlement.
yeah,
Mm.
and and the reason why I was on, we were talking about this. So actually coming from where we're talking about like people who follow pastors who are literally just grifters. Like literally all they do is this. They get you excited, they get you emotional, and they say essentially the grift is give us money and then God will give you money. That's the grift.
The blessings.
It's not, or they call it blessings. Yeah,
They call it blessings.
whatever. I'm speaking to you, right? So the grift is let me get you emotional, just like Tony Robbins does or anybody else does, right? And then I'm going to, well, at least they sell you something. They're selling you just a lie because it doesn't work that way, right? Because you can't
Mm.
stay the same and then expect the benefits of
Yeah.
what comes from change, right?
Correct.
So we were talking about that. And it's like, well, why do these people, and then my wife asked, like, why do these people keep following these people that they know are no, they know these people are no good. I'm like, because they don't really want to change. They're okay being grifted because the grift is, I don't have to change. And so it's the same thing with a lot of these alpha male,
Ooh, that is
influencers and
that
things
is
like that, is you don't really want to change. You want to stay the same and you want to get the results of change. And so you're willing to be lied to, you're willing to be manipulated, and you're willing to do that so that you can get the change on the other side. Because you think if I allow this to happen, going back to some people pleasing tendencies there, if I
right.
allow this to happen, then maybe on the other side I'll get it, but it never works, right? It doesn't work. It just doesn't. It can't. You cannot stay the same and then get the different result. If I have a big, again, use the metal example, right? If I have a chunk of metal, right? Just a chunk of metal, that metal is not going to cut a person open. No matter how much I bring the operating room and rub it on the person, it's not cutting them open. It's not a clean slice. No matter how much I take that chunk of metal and put it in my kitchen, it's not going to keep my food clean. It's my food cold. It's not going to keep my food hot. It's not going to warm it up. It's not going to toast it. It's not going to wash my stuff. It's not going to benefit me in any way, shape, or form because it must be changed, and change is uncomfortable. And it means that you have to recognize and take responsibility for your own behaviors and actions. You're in your financial situation because of you. You're in your health situation because of you. You keep getting in bad relationships because of you. It's you. And you can say, well, what about my parents? Yeah, they maybe started off on the bad path, but guess what? Now it's on you to change it. You can look back as much as you want. It's up to you to change it, right? So you need to find a group, right? First you have the desire to want to change. You have the desire to be willing to be challenged, have your beliefs challenged, those negative beliefs, have your behaviors challenged, be willing to be called out, to be willing to push harder. You have to be willing to put yourself in that crucible of change. But if you're not willing to do that, then yeah, no, nothing's gonna work for you, right? And yeah, you can find a grifter. Listen, I promise you right now, there is someone that's willing to tell you whatever you want to hear, so you
Right.
can stay the same and lie to you about the change on the other side. I promise you that is easy to find. Easy to find. That's a
Oh,
dime a dozen. But
just put that credit card out.
listen, just put your credit card information online.
Yep.
If you're that comfortable with just giving away money, listen, just take all the money out of your account, put it on the sidewalk, and walk away. I promise it'll be gone. If you're just that comfortable, waste your time, waste your money, and then you get online and start talking about, oh man, there's nothing good out here. Or these groups aren't good, and these women aren't good, and this person ain't good, and the government's not good, and the white man's not good, and the black.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, my parents said, oh my gosh, in society, and then you're just complaining and whining, right? There's no need for it. There's no need for it. You have to have a desire to want to change. You have to understand a change is uncomfortable. Period. Point blank. End the discussion. If you can't deal with the discomfort of change, if you can't deal with someone say, hey, you're messing up. Hey, you shouldn't be talking to that woman because you're a married man. You're flirting a little too much, man. You back. You a friend to come in and back. Hey, ma'am. Hey, listen, this man's married. I don't know if you know that or not. My man's married. Has a whole wife and kids at home, right? If you don't really want that real hard down accountability, then yeah, you might be better off just staying by yourself. You might be better off just staying by yourself. At least if you stay by yourself, you at least keep your money in your pocket, right? Stuff like that. I mean, you'll be broke in by yourself. So I say all that to say, Gordon, you asked the question. It's the idea that you have to want to change. You have to want to change. If you don't want to change, you're gonna be the same. And you can blame everybody else. You can blame your last 5 wives. Or you can blame your kids. You can blame society. You can blame all these people. You can do that, but you will still be the same. You'll just be miserable. You'll be
Oh, absolutely.
20 years old and miserable, 30 years old and miserable, 50,
Yep.
70, you will be miserable. I have seen it. I have seen it. In my 41 years on earth, I've seen people remain miserable exactly the same year after year after year after year. And they're wondering why things are so bad. Things are so bad because you don't want to change. You don't want to talk different, think different, look different, be around people willing to challenge you, take in different perspectives, shift how you're thinking, shift your behaviors. You don't want to do that. So, long story short, you have to want to change. That's what it boils down to, Gordon. You have to want to change. If you really want to change and you know what your values are, then you either link up with someone or some group of people, right, that have similar values that are willing to challenge you, or
That's
you
big.
that for yourself, right? So, or create the group and bring people in. Like, this
Yeah.
is what based off of it. Just a place for us to talk and just open up and air things out. Like, guys are looking for that. But we have to want to change. You have to be willing to accept different perspectives and leave old maladaptive beliefs behind.
No, 100%. Because even like when you have camaraderies in your workplace, or what's up, Jamie? What's up, pork chop? Pork. I can tell you a story about the pork chop. Guys, pounds for our sponsors. Guys, we're launching here in about 6 weeks. This is gonna be on the red carpet. I gotta drop some off to Doc, but we just closed major stores already, so it's the valuation keeps going up. So it's like cool. Like, pretty soon we're gonna be doing a George Jerome. Get on the boat, brother. But at the same time, right? When like my friend here, Doron right here, pork chop, Jaime, everything. We have a camaraderie that's really based on what we've been in the past. And we used to rely on them. In fact, George Doron used to be my senior guide when I was going through a program that helped me go through, because how do you go from taking your accountability and you need that guidance from somebody that's been through it, right? Because if I don't take accountability for the actions I'm taking, the behaviors that I'm showing, and I don't have respect somebody that's my brother, that's going to tell me what I'm doing, everything goes the same. I'll be miserable. I'm still have anxiety. I still go back to drinking. I'll still go back doing dope. I'll still go back into the criminal for what? Because I'm not happy with myself. I'm not happy with the crowd I'm with, right?
Mm.
When you're happy with the crowd you're with, say with your wife, your family, your purpose, and everything else, guess what happens when you find the right group, the right lane? You just stay in that lane and you expand and you get better as a person, right? When you get better as a person, guess what happens? People gravitate to you because you start commanding yourself and your behavior into a way that kids want to be around you, animals want to be around you, and you gain this confidence that nobody can take away from you. But it does have to help from other people that you have have friendships with, right? Because those friendships always blossom into something bigger down the line that might not, you might not think your camaraderie is important now if you're at alone, but try be somewhere that your friends are not around, that you can call, or when you want to help move, when it's not transactional anymore, right? Those are the things that's going to matter in your life as you get older. Like Doc said, your health might be deteriorating. Look at myself. When you look at how many surgeries I just had in, whoops, told you live show, guys. People trying to get in touch. When you have this camaraderie that you can lean on for anybody, that's something money cannot buy. And Doc gets paid to do this, right? Doc's professional, FCS, LLC counseling. He gets paid to do relationship coaching and individual coaching, and he does the same thing. So take heed, guys. Camaraderie, friendship is a good thing to lean on when it's the right type, right? Doc, what are some of the frustrations men have with connecting with other men?
I would say the frustrations, I don't know, frustration. That's a great question, man. That's a great question. Because I actually don't really hear a lot of men talking about the frustrations of not connecting.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
it's just there's just not connecting, right? We have to connect first before we can be frustrated about the connection.
True.
But again, society has pushed us in such a way where it's like, to be a real man, you got to handle everything by yourself, right? So and so that's just not the case. That's not the case at all. I would say some things to look out for, though, if you're in one of these groups, right, is to really kill that whole alpha male mentality thing, because there's not really the place for it, right? This is a place that when we get into these groups, we're not looking to be led. we're looking for everyone to be on the same level, kind of like King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, right? The reason why the table was round, everyone was equals, right?
Equal. Yep.
You know, and so that's more so what we're looking for. Take off the, the titles, take off of all of that, and just be you. Don't be the father, don't be the husband, don't be the businessman, don't be the therapist, don't be the coach, don't be any of that. Just be you. Be Keith, be Gordon, be Jimmy, John,
Yep.
Tyrone, whatever. Just be you, right? It should be, hey, we're around the same table. We're all real. We're all raw. We're all vulnerable. We're all just kind of sharing our things. We're building each other up. We're holding each other accountable. We're not judging. And so, but I would say the biggest issue right now is that there just isn't one, right? I just don't have the time. Well, we got to make the time. I would say it's just a lack of connection just in general. And we need to have those spaces where we can actually have that connection.
The importance of the camaraderie, the friendship. I gotta know that I got you on my back, emotionally watching my six, watching my back, knowing you're emotionally okay with protecting me, right? And it's the same thing in the real world. You gotta be able to have friendships that gonna last a lifetime. When you find a group of guys that can do that for you, you do in a supportive group, you have to be you, regardless. If you're not you and you're trying to fake it, people, that's not gonna matter. When men struggle amongst family, work, what do you see in the field?
Total control and agency. Once you recognize that I can make a choice and decision, I am not left to the whims of everybody else, my wife, my kids, my job, my government, my group, my church. I'm not left to the whims of everybody else. I get a chance to make the decisions that I want to make, right?
Mm.
That's what's so critical. That's what's so important, right? So, when it comes to this, once you understand that you can make your own decisions, then you could have essentially whatever you really want. Honestly, once you recognize it's on you to do that, it's on you to find the group, or to make the group, then you're not waiting for anyone to save you anymore. Right? You're not waiting for someone to come along and, well, here's this group. It's nice if that happens. And granted, maybe you could be that person, right? You start the group and you start inviting people along, right, to come and join it. Maybe
We're
you
doing
could
it
be
right now.
so, but you have to understand that you have the power to do that, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to stay alone. You don't have to be alone in your head, alone in your thoughts, alone in your work, alone in your journey. You don't have to be alone. You could be around other men. There are other men out there that are also looking for camaraderie, are also looking for iron to sharpen them, are also looking to push each other. There are other men that are trying to do that, right? So I would say that, if I had to leave you guys with anything, just know that you have the power to do that and find that group and find that connection and, and make that time. I know a lot of times people say, well, there's no time. There's time, right? There's
This
24
time.
hours in a day. It's allocated towards something. You have to ask yourself the question, okay, what am I allocating this time to? And is it helping me? Is it beneficial? Is it, helping me reach some type of goal? Right. And
Right.
I'll be honest, if it's not your faith or your family, or something that's generating, income and generational wealth and things of that nature, then, you really have to ask yourself the question, okay, how important is it in my life? Right. Does it really need to be there? So when you start organizing your life and recognize you have the power to do so, organize your life, prioritizing things, you'll see that the time is there. Because if people who are way busier than us, can find time to join these groups, there's no excuse. And when I say way busy, I'm talking about they have every moment of their day clocked, every single
Oh, yeah.
moment. But guess what? They make sure they make time for it. They absolutely make sure they make time for it. I have clients right now. They're very successful professionals, and that they could make the excuse, I don't have time for therapy. Guess what they do? They make time for therapy.
They make time because it's
You
important.
can make time for it.
Yeah.
And that's why you taking personal responsibility of your actions and behaviors. That gives you the power. So then now you're looking at, if you're not doing it, that's just on you. Oh no, but the wife. No, it's not your wife. It's just on you. But the kids. No, it's on you.
You
You
can
don't understand my schedule. It's on you.
plan it.
It's on you.
Plan it.
Yeah, it's on you, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? I'm not, being flippant about it, or trying to be insensitive or whatnot. I'm just trying to actually empower you and let
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
if you want it, you could have it. Because there are
Yep.
people that balance family and work and self-development. There are people that balance that stuff. all the time. So again, you live in the day and age of technology where you can look it up, look and see what do they do, how do they balance it. Some it's like, well, work-life integration. So I have family, I'm working alongside family, and so we're having date. Like there's all types of ways it can be done, but
You
don't
make
just
it
rest
work.
the idea that it can't be done. That's a lie. You know
Anything
what's a
can be
lie,
done.
Yeah, anything can be done. And again, I always say, when it comes to excuses or lies, you're comfortable telling yourself.
Yeah.
Right. That's essentially what an excuse is. It's just a lie you're comfortable telling yourself. I can't do it
Yeah,
because
that's it.
it's a lie. You're just
Yeah,
comfortable saying it to yourself,
yeah.
right? But also to warn you of this, the most dangerous person you could lie to is yourself because you can fool other people, but you unfortunately, yourself, you're gonna start believing that lie. You're gonna start
That's
creating a
the
life
word.
based on that lie. And essentially, when you do that, you are now creating your own jail, your own prison that you're locked in. And you will stay locked in until you stop saying that lie, recognize you have the power to change, and then start breaking down those walls, tearing apart those bars, and start actually getting out and be like, actually, I can do this. There is time for me to join a men's group. There is time for me to create a men's group. There's time for me to go and develop myself. There's time for me to be held accountable and things like that. That's another thing as well, Gordon. And I'll end with this, right? Because, and maybe this is something we can go into in a little more detail later. But there are some men, and you guys got to be honest with yourself, you don't want to be held accountable. That's why you don't get around anybody. You don't want
That
anyone
was
to
his
tell you you're doing the wrong thing. You don't want anyone to correct your behavior. You don't want someone to tell you that the way you're talking to your wife is bad. You don't want someone to tell you that you're actually a terrible father. You don't want someone to say that. So you don't get around people like that. Or what you will do is get into these negative echo chambers where it's just everyone telling you the same thing. Yeah, your baby mama's crazy, or yeah, your kid should respect you. Look at how much you work. Oh my gosh. Oh man, you're just so yeah, you're looking for that, right? You're looking for that
you want
again.
that. Yeah.
You want that. And so, but again, what you just did was you put yourself in a prison. You put yourself in
Mhm.
a self-made prison, and now all you do is you have your buddies and your friends, that are in this prison with you, helping you to just block up the walls and put up the barbed wire and put up the razor wire and put the guards on the towers with the guns. And that's all they're doing, helping you build a bigger, better prison for yourself. So now you're stuck, and you wonder why your relationship with your kids is terrible. You wonder why your relationship with your wife is terrible, or you get divorced. You wonder why no one likes you. Yeah, maybe you make money, but you don't have any healthy relationships. You wonder why you're depressed. You
Money,
wonder why
nothing.
you're on a bottle. You wonder why you're on drugs. You wonder why all these things. It's because you believed the lie and you didn't get around people who would hold you accountable. You didn't get around someone that
Sure.
said, bro, you are messing up, bro. No, that's wicked. You can't do that, man. You're going to hurt people. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. You need to get on the right path. So maybe that wasn't the best way to end this, off. But
Delquin.
we're here now.
This is it doesn't matter. You know why? It all wraps up when you tie into how important camaraderie is for yourself, your mental health, your self accountability, and in how a good friendship can determine where your direction of life goes. Because
Very-
if you're open to it, a lot of things can happen for a good sense. But if you're lying also to your friends and you're inflating your ego and you're trying to measure who's got the biggest swing, it's not going to help, right? Because this is why we created Boundaries and Brotherhood, to have a community of people, because now we have our own community in both school, Reddit, and our own community right now, and in Facebook group, because the traction we created this so people can come in and get the support they want, need, so they don't do something crazy. Now,
Mhm.
when you look at a lot of the things going on in the world right now, people need camaraderie, they need good friendships, they need people to tell them what it is, and to be able to have the accountability to take self inflection and reflection to a whole different level. This is what we're offering. The big promise is, come join our community, get onto our Facebook group, click the link that's going to be here. It's and the notification bell right here. You're going to have the next video and the subscription video either right here, right? Click on one of those, get into one of our groups, ask the questions, come ask the questions live here on Thursday on all platforms, right? And see where we can take you to the different levels of where you need to be for as a man, so that you can fulfill your full potential. Guys, this is Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. I just wanted to say, probably one of these weeks, I'm going to have our CEO, creator, director, because we're going to be launching soon, right? just closed 600 stores called Major, Meijer, on the East Coast. You ever heard of those?
Yes, I have. I think those are up in
And
the
Green Stop,
North-
Truck Stop are going to be carrying the products.
yeah, that's the Northeast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 600
Yeah.
stores. I didn't even know what it is, but I want to have them CEO come in and talk to us also. But guys, it's been a blast as always. Come get your questions answered live. Come join the community. We're going to have our live community coming up very soon. I'm going to go over something. So, Gordon, my boundaries, brother. We'll see you next week. Bye.
All right. You guys take care. Dr. Keith Fairclough. Remember, y'all get connected. You know, don't do it by yourself. Remember, real change, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary for you to be the man, to be the complete man, the total man, to be the sovereign man. Yeah, it's critical and necessary. So don't try to do it alone. We're not designed to do that. So we'll see y'all next week.